Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tutorials of Tone. My name is Alex. Thank you so much for watching this video. What we're talking about is Cake by the Ocean by Dance, or DNCE. This is a very simple preset, but we have a nice little option to add in a wah if we so choose, and we get to talk about a clean, into the desk sort of tone, combining with an amp. Let's dive right in. First up, we have our input block. Everything is at stock settings, except the threshold of our gate is at negative 47.5 dB. It's where I like to have it for my Morse Music Man guitars. Now for this song, I'm using my bridge humbucker, but I'm combining in my neck single coil. This is an option on a Morse. I understand that that is not always an option for other musicians and other guitar players. So think of using either your bridge pickup or your bridge pickups, maybe a position 2 thing on a Strat. Next up, we have the optional wah block. This isn't in the original tune, but it is kind of fun to have should the song extend. If you need to take a solo, whatever it is, you have the option here. We're using a funk wah, 315 Hertz to 2112. This is my birthday to a Rush reference. It's just a nice neutral wah. A cool thing to have, especially if things break down. You don't want to be playing chords so much. You have a nice percussive thing to bring in. From there, our signal does split. Our straight into the desk tone is brought about by the multi-band compressor. Throughout this, we have pretty stock neutral settings. So the threshold of each band is at negative 30 dB, a 2:1 ratio, 10 milliseconds of attack, and 100 milliseconds of release. Our crossover frequencies are 200 Hertz for the mid and 800 Hertz for the highs. As we're using this as sort of an active EQ, we have our lows set to 0 dB, our mids to 2 dB, and our highs default to 6 dB. As we are converging the signals of our straight into the desk tone and our amp, the level is down to negative 7.5 dB. And we do have the bypass mode set to mute for when we isolate these tones later. Going to our clean amp tone, we have a Studio FF compressor running into our amp, and we have our release time set to 63.25 milliseconds, auto makeup gain turned off, and 5 dB of level to make up for the compressed signal. Everything else throughout the block is at stock settings. We run into a 59 bass guide bright. Pretty neutral settings here. We have taken the treble gain down a bit as we are on a bridge tone. We don't want it too bright. I've taken the bright cap down to 100 peak ferro and engaged the bright switch to give it a little bit of pop. But again, you don't want the ice pick in the forehead. We have an 8500 Hertz high cut to help mitigate that issue. We then go into a pair of 4x10 Bassman cabs with a 57 and a 121. We have a 100 Hertz low cut and a 10K high cut on that cab. Now, as these signals converge, you're going to hear that there's an accumulation of low mids and mids, and in this particular preset, quite a bit of highs that we can shelve out of there. So I put this at the end, taking out 5 dB of 250, 7.5 dB of 500, and then 8K and 16K are shelved at negative 10 and negative 12 respectively. We have a 4 dB level to compensate for all that we've scooped out. So let's hear the difference between the engaged graphic EQ, and then we will bypass that to hear that boxiness come in. Now, as you can hear, this is a vital piece to the puzzle. When we cycle through all of the potential clean tones that we have, which is our combination multi-band compressor and amp tones, you can hear how effective this can be. So here's our main tone, multi-band compressor, and then our amp tone. can hear there's a lot of tonal options to choose from and choose to your liking. All of those tones run into a medium plate reverb running in parallel. Very stock settings here. We have negative 20 dB on the level. Should you choose to bypass this if you're not recording or you don't like the sound of it, we have mute effects in on the bypass mode. Should you be asked to solo on this tune, sometimes this one can extend. There is an option for a 3 dB boost. This is great for lead boosting of any kind to just put at the end of your chain. Have as an option on your FC controller, you're up 3 dB and off. Very simple and very, very handy. In our output blocks, we do have a little bit of attenuation for our scenes. So for scene 1, this is our combination scene. Everything was set to that at unity gain. When we go to our multi-band compressor by itself, we've boosted 6 dB to make up for all that level that we lose from muting the amp, and then just 1 dB for our amp only scene, as this is the bulk of our tone and it cuts through a mix quite well. Well, that about does it for Cake by the Ocean. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope this is helpful not only for this song, but for any clean funk tones you may be trying to dial in. If you enjoyed this video, there are plenty more throughout the channel. Fractal 101, gear reviews, playthroughs, and of course, more tutorials of tone. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you all next time.